So I just got done watching Saber and Zenkaiger Superhero Senki, the big crossover anniversary movie celebrating 50 years of Kamen Rider, 45 years of Super Sentai. And this movie, the best way to put it, is pure fan service. But it's pure fan service done right. And although it's got a very short runtime, only going for 75 minutes, I was loving every minute of this movie, seeing each character appear on screen, which ones I knew, which ones I didn't know, and then when you got to the big climactic battle at the end, where you saw several years of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai fighting side by side, it was just pure magical. And I loved it. Now, I'm not going to break the movie down scene by scene. I'm probably going to talk about the basic plot of the movie and what I thought of it. So, the whole premise of this movie is Saber and Zenkaiger coming together. They meet each other, they get separated, and they get separated into two different storybooks, Journey to the West and Tale of the Eight Swordsmen, I believe. And as this journey goes on, you see several characters from different series show up. Deno, Kira Major, Shinkenja, 01, and it's pretty amazing seeing all these characters show up and team up together in this movie. One of the many highlights in this movie for me was seeing 01 and Saber team up in this movie, because we never got a 01 and Saber crossover movie or versus movie. So to see these two characters come together and fight side by side, although it's brief for a few seconds, although they do team up in the final fight scene, it's cool to see these two characters come together and interact. And I really did like that touch they did for the movie. One thing I also really enjoyed is how they separated the large cast of characters with the two current franchises meeting each other, because Zenkaiger has a bit of a large cast, Saber has a bit of a large cast with all their riders. I think they've got about 10 riders or something, and I'll get to the many riders in this show eventually, because that was one of the gripes I did have, but that's my own fault for not keeping up with the series, so I'll get to that when I get to that. So, you don't really get to see all the Zenkaigers and all the Kamen Rider Sabers meeting and interacting. They separate them pretty well, where we mostly focus on Kaito and Joren, and then on the Saber side you mostly focus on Rintaro and Toma. Now you do get to see the other Zenkaigers and all the other Saber characters meeting each other at the start. It is brief, but this movie's pacing starts off really quickly, and within the first 5 minutes, these characters have already met and interact with each other, and they get separated fairly quickly. There was a bit near the end where it seemed like it was dragging, when you have that moment where all hope is lost, and then the characters have their realization moment that not all hope is lost. So, I do understand that, and that's the only bit that dragged. But if there's one small nitpick I've got with this movie, and like I said, it's my own fault, is I was slightly spoiled for what happens later down the line in Kamen Rider Saber that I never got around to finishing. Characters that I thought were dead or were villains actually turned good in the end, and that was kind of a surprise for me. But like I said, that's my own fault for not keeping up the series and not finishing it eventually. The villain in this film is kind of forgettable and meh, and you don't really focus too much time on him, where he's not really having scenes where he's scheming and going, those blasted Zenkaigers and Super Sentai heroes. He actually appears at the start of the film, sometime in the middle of the film, and then in the final act where he's the final boss. And his whole reason for wanting to get rid of Kamen Riders and Super Sentai is because the show or the franchise has been going on for too long, and it seems very repetitive and stuff like that. So his motivations are kind of wacky and weird and sort of generic. I don't like this because I don't like that, but his suit did look really cool, I will say that. And they don't really focus too much on the villain, which is I'm okay with, because it is a movie villain. He doesn't have to be deep and complex to understand, but like I said, his suit did look really cool. Alright, I gotta talk about that final fight scene we get, where all the Kamen Riders and all the Super Sentais come together to fight all the different grunts from Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, because it is pure fan service and I love it. I was expecting a giant roll call at the end, kind of like what they do in most anniversary movies, but we don't get that, and if we did get a roll call for like every Kamen Rider and every Super Sentai that was there, that would take like 5 to 10 minutes, but it would have been epic though. But what we do get is a massive fight scene, and we get the logos of each franchise popping up so you can keep track of them, and they'll say their catchphrase, they'll do their signature attack, and that's the fan service you get, or the tribute you get with these characters. And when that giant battle is over, it keeps going and you get more fan service. You do have Revice showing up near the end. I gotta watch Revice. I haven't got around to it yet. I swear I gotta get around to watching Revice, which I will do. And Revice seemed really cool, so I'm definitely gonna watch Revice eventually. And I do like how he shows up near the end. But after the giant battle between all the heroes, it gets even crazier because the final boss turns into a giant dragon, and then you get all the different mechs and the Zords showing up at the end. And that was really cool as well, although most of them are CGI because, you know, some of the old mechs are props and stuff like that. You get to see them again and they look even more awesome, and you get to see all the Kamen Riders jump on them and slash the final bad guy. And we also get to see a brand new Kamen Rider Saber form, which is Kamen Rider Senki, which looks really cool. I believe that's the name, but Super Hero Senki, where it's basically Kamen Rider Saber looking like Zenkaiger, which looked really cool as well. But overall, this movie is pure fan service, and I loved it. I really loved it, and I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't watched it yet. And I know this review has been like 6 to 7 minutes of me gushing over how much I love this movie, but that's the best way to explain it. Like, I really love this movie. It was pure fan service, and I loved it. Not only that, it's an awesome tribute to the creator of both franchises, Shotaro Ishinomori. So if you're able to, I highly recommend giving Super Hero Senki a watch. You won't regret it, because if you're a fan of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, you're definitely going to love this movie. So with that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Special thanks to all the members such as Swaggerful and Andrew McCoyle, and big special shout out to the Power Bunny, who is a $30 member on the channel. If you want to get your name shouted out at the end of every video, or have your name in the credits of every video, join the Patreon to become a YouTube member, because it helps out the channel a lot, and your support is greatly appreciated. With that said, I'm bringing this video to a close. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, take care, bye!